your favorite projections, favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Hot Toys Luke Skywalker from The Last Jedi, the Force projection version of him. Spoilers, he wasn't really there. It's also my favorite sequence of The Last Jedi, and one of the things I love most about that movie is that whole part. I'm also thinking about doing Hot Toys first impressions on the $5 level of Patreon, because I think I'm gonna start doing it for all the Masterpiece stuff and pretty much everything that's like 150 and over, like big expensive stuff where you kind of want that first impression. Like, I'm not gonna limit it. Giving the people more. Anyway, I love this representation of Luke. It saved the character for me, made me appreciate the character, made me love the character, and I'm anxious to take a look at this figure, but in order to do so, we have to look at accessories. So first and foremost, he comes with a display base. I love it. I'm not crazy about the plaque that they've used for the Last Jedi stuff. It's not my favorite design, like all these cracks in it and so forth, but I love this stand. I love how it has like the red dirt kind of effect of crate underneath the salt. And then if you look on it itself, it has like the red base and then the white over top, the red kind of peeking through underneath. But where Luke's footsteps are, there's no red. Ah, so smart. I love it. And then, of course, it comes with your two-prong tension stand, which just inserts into it. Easy for me to say. It's giving me some grief. There, not the greatest connection there, to be honest with you. But there it is. He comes with an array of hands. We have 3 gloved hands, 1 holding hand, 1 force using hand or posing hand, 1 lightsaber holding hand that does have the cap here that you can take off and then put in batteries, and it does include the batteries as well, so no issues there, which is nice. Not really my bag. I'm not big into electronics into my figures, but it has it. Let's talk about the detailings a little bit. We'll go ahead and do that now. Nice effects. I'm not sure if you can see it, but sculpting wise on the gloves, like all these wrinkles in the leather, tremendous job. Their plastic work is unparalleled. Then we have the nice wash on it. It looks like a real leather, like worn leather as a result. All the seams in the gloves and so forth are all sculpted in, both kind of the internal and external seams, so that looks great. As for the hands, we have a number of posing hands, which is nice. I'm a big fan and advocate of posing hands. So you get these 3. All of them are unique and cool and nice, like age spots and stuff on the hands and like the worn look, and it looks good. They're really well done. The fingernails and all that stuff. The beds are all sculpted in there. And then we have 1 holding hand for the lightsaber. While we're on the topic of hands, of course, he comes with 2 replacement wrist pegs for the hands. These will peg into the forearm and into the hand, so they'll swivel at both ends, and they're on a ball hinge, so you can get up, down, or in, out. He comes with his lightsaber. It's very nice. It's detailed the same as the one that's on his stuck-in electronics hand, so we're not going to talk about that one. We'll just talk about this one. It has the D-ring, has the black pieces here. The rest is silver, like a chrome almost. The blade is removable, and then you have the red button there and some black detailings throughout. Sculpted well, looks good, very sharp, and you have the replacement blade that's supposed to kind of give you the swinging action. I'm not sure it's entirely successful. We've looked at it before, but it's a thing they do. So it's there. If you like it, you win, but I'm not crazy about it. But you know what I would be crazy about? Them trying a white rod through the center with the blue translucent around it. You thought I forgot, but I haven't. That'll hang nicely off the little clip there on his belt, and he'll hold it just fine. He also comes with Solo's dice. They're nice. The chain is nice. They're all sculpted with all of the kind of symbols and stuff in the dice. They're a pretty cool accessory. And as a guy that doesn't come with a whole lot of like flaunting accessories, this is a nice one to have. I'll do some pictures at the end or some of the stuff as we're moving the camera around so you can see some poses where you could integrate this. For a head sculpt comparison, I don't think they got it right. I think it's off. I think they tried, but I think it's kind of more of a miss. Let me turn it a little bit because he's looking a little off, but I think it's more of a miss than it is a hit. I don't think the hair looks quite right. I know I can see what they were trying to go for, but it's a little poofier in the front, but they were really focusing on these outer kind of wings here, and they got that right, but it maybe is a little too pronounced, and it's hard. I get it, but yeah, this one's a little off. This one, it looks like a really good cosplay to me. Once again, you know, I think that the angles do make a difference, so I think that kind of looking up at him looks better than looking straight on. But yeah, this one's not my favorite in that regard. I think they kind of really missed the boat. The eyes seem off. The kind of aged look in the cheeks seems off. I mean, like even the nose looks a little off. The space between the nose and eyes looks a little off to me. Like it's a nice representation of Luke, but it doesn't look like Luke, if that makes any sense. The good news is, costume-wise, it's spot on. The shape of the shirt, collar underneath the tunic, how the shirt is visible behind the sleeve, the look and fabric of the shirt and pants, the wraps of the boots, the look of the glove, the belt. The belt might be a little light, but it could also be the lighting in the picture, etc., etc. But the soft goods stuff, they nailed. It looks 100,000% accurate. Now let's look at sculpt and paint. So I do think that the face is painted tremendously per usual. Like the eyes are painted extremely well, the skin tones are painted extremely well, the hair is painted extremely well, and all of it is sculpted well. And even though I think that they got kind of the aged look wrong because he had like sunken cheeks and stuff, there is a lot of like wrinkles like sculpted in the skin of his cheek that I do notice, and it does look good. So given the sculpt is what it is, I think under the, like that looks pretty good. But under those confines, I think that within that, everything looks great in that regard. You know, I'm not crazy about the sculpt overall. Given that that is what it is, the sculpting within that sculpt is done tremendously. The hair, like the little wisps of hair that are sculpted on, the different layers of color, both on the skin tone and on the hair, all look great. That's really, I mean, aside from the hand here and the glove, which we've already talked about, we have the boots at the bottom. Once again, this is done beautifully. This is where Hot Toys really shines, I think, usually in face sculpts and in stuff like this. So they're all sculpted beautifully. It has that aged leather look where it's a little lighter around the creases of the leather as if it's been nice and worn in. All of the sculpting around the shoes are done well, the wrinkles and so forth. I do want to point this out. So I don't know if I'm able to get this one off, so to speak. But mine came with this part of his heel kind of pushed in. And that's a little disappointing. Now, I'm sure I could send it back and all that stuff and use some hot water and do all those kind of fixes, but it's just a little irritating. You know, you spend $250 on something you don't expect things like that. And I normally don't have those types of issues. But doesn't change what we're talking about, which is sculpt and paint, and all of that is done really well. I mean, even like the little kind of like space where it expands, like the elastic nature of the boots and all the stitching, it's all done beautifully, and it looks nice and worn and old and weathered. Now for the soft goods. So we have this outer kind of robe, and it has the nice high cut like it did in the movie, so that looks good. It's a nice fabric that they chose. It has some good weight to it. It's like, you know, what is it, 2-ply or whatever. So that all works well. You can get it out in front of them if you like. It does have a metal, I think it's just a wire, not a bar. SH Figuarts has been using bars recently, but the wire here is at the bottom, so you can kind of pose it up a bit. You can't really get a good pose on it because, like, you know, there's no wire in this part, so you can't have it like flowing out to the side. It's kind of like just what you can do with the bottom of it, which does add something to it. It is nice, but it's not as nice as perhaps it could be. But it does lay well, has good weight to it. And then you have the hood. The hood also has the wire in it. I haven't tried to see if I can get it to look. Oh, yeah. I'll have to see if I can do something. I'll see if I can work something out where it looks good in the final thoughts or something. But it's getting that top part to kind of lay right. I haven't seen one done quite as well as Anakin's. Let's see. Then we have the this tunic underneath. Once again, nice material. We have the faux leather, which always looks great. And then we have this band behind it, which also looks good. The tunic underneath looks good, and it looks like a different material from this. And this looks like a different material than this, which adds to the overall presentation 1,000%. Then the pants, we've kind of seen them use this fabric for pants quite often with Star Wars stuff, and it usually works. Has a decent weight to it, and because it's kind of fitted, it does look nice. Articulation-wise, the head, neck piece, the head is connected to the neck is a ball peg inside of the chest. You can get up to there, down to there, so not much, and then the swivel, a little bit of attitude. So not great, but not bad. We have disc hinge shoulders that go into a ball peg into the chest. Using them, you can get up to there. A nice butterfly. So that's quite nice, and reverse butterfly, and a bicep swivel, and you can get the arm up in front of you about 90 degrees. We have a double jointed elbow, which is nice, works perfectly. We had the wrist swivel, which we've already gone over. Same for the other side. For the chest, we have a double ball peg from the chest into the abdomen and a single from the abdomen to the pelvis, which gets you a nice bend or crunch forward and a decent one back. Little bit of a teapot too, and an okay swivel given the amount of fabric. So I'm good with that. Let's see. We have T-jointed ball joints for hips, I believe. I can't really tell. My shoe keeps coming off because of the warping of the plastic, so that's a bummer. So they get out to there, and we get forward and back to there. So great range for the most part. Thigh swivel, double jointed knee, and it looks pretty good. And then as you can see, the ankles are on ball pegs, and you had this nice cut in the back. Let me see if I can show you that. We have this nice cut in the back of the ball peg, so that allows for great ankle tilt back, decent up, and a pretty good rocker, and it'll work even better if the shoe will stay on. But yeah, overall, mostly good, but a couple kind of significant issues along the way. And there it is in my detolf, and I have this like Kylo Ren lightsaber with the dice draped over it that my buddy Adam got me for Christmas or birthday one year. And this is kind of like my Star Wars Annex detolf, so I got my extra Lukes and Reys and Leias in here, and then some room for aggressive expansion. But yeah, that's a good pose, good presence, looks sharp, etc. Final thoughts wise, let me talk about the negatives first. I don't feel like they nailed the head sculpt. That's a big one. That's a real big one. Also, my foot has that bent up piece of plastic in it. I'm guessing that's an individual. Results will vary. However, if you do have this piece, let me know if yours was like that. There's another thing I noticed, that on the glove that has the electronics in the forearm, I have a hard time getting the glove to stay together. The glove splits at one of the seams in order to better access the battery casing. However, I can't get it to go quite back in. Not seamlessly anyway. I also feel like it's a little light on accessories. Now, obviously, he doesn't do a whole lot accessory-wise in the film regarding this, so I get it. But maybe if they'd have thrown in more hands or an extra head with a different expression, that probably would have saved the day. It would have killed two birds with one stone and entirely changed my disposition on this piece. Positives-wise, the soft goods work great. Some of the best soft goods integrated into a figure and still retaining most of the articulation that I've seen. The posing hands that they do include are awesome and have a ton of personality and character with them. I also like that they included the dice. I love the display base. In fact, I wouldn't have changed a thing about that, and I probably wouldn't have been clever to even think of that. It does have a strong presence in spite of its likeness, because the likeness doesn't kind of reveal itself until you get up close. That being said, unless you have a strong connection to this representation of this character as I do, or as this representation of Luke Skywalker almost embodies the entire saga for me, I can't recommend that. Now, if you're like me, I think you'll be happy, but to be fair, I think you would have been happy with even less. But this is not the greatest Hot Toys that I've ever messed with, not by a long shot. A little disappointing, but still a nice addition to the collection. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching, till next time, take care.